Just about the fastest 5 furlong handicap of the season, this dash at Epsom, and it's a massive betting heat, but a huge spread of money. The moves this morning, the move was accessible for Tim Easterby. Won at Redcar and Thirsk recently. You wouldn't normally associate that with coming to a real high-class sprint handicap like this. That's been backed into 8-1 is the best I've seen. 8.5 now. So money's slightly drying up for that. Desert Law is solid. The move in the last half hour or so is for Kimberella, the top one. I mentioned it in my Racing UK blog that for Richard Farr to send this young lad Connor Murta for 2 really good rides in handicaps, his 17-year-old claiming 7 on really good horses, shows the esteem that he's regarded. Now, I've tipped the other one later on. I haven't tipped Kimberella, but there's fortunes for it. I just wonder whether the stall 20 might possibly present problems. Boom the Groom was the price-wise horse, 3rd in this last year. He's been backed in from 16s to about 10s. Duke of Firenze, who has made that York sprint handicap from the Dante meeting his own over the last 2 years, that's been well supported as well. So you can name any number of them, but the horses that have definitely been backed: Kimberella, Accessible, and Boom the Groom.
It's now time for the iconic dash, the Fast and Furious 5 furlongs of Epsom, and we're starting by looking at horse number 2, Caspian Prince, who's won this race before.
Yes, twice. He's won 3 from 4 round Epsom. The only time he hasn't won is when I tipped him in this race a couple of years ago. Obviously the pace angle in 1, he's got a bit of pace low alongside him as well.
He's followed by number 12, Majestic Hero, for Ron Harris.
Yeah, looks really well. Type of horse that you'd imagine run well in a race like this, because, you know, obviously he's got form here. Tom O'Khan as well, drawn next to Caspian Prince in 1.
Then we've got Line of Reason, who's in 15 for Paul Midgey and Paul Morenon.
Yeah, it didn't get a clear run last time out at York. It looks absolutely magnificent. I wouldn't like to try and pick a paddock favourite here, but he's certainly up on the shortlist.
He's followed by number 11, Union Rose, again for Ron Harris.
Yeah, Julie represented, and she looks well as well. She's taken the prelims okay. It's been saddled fine. She'd have a little bit of a squeak, but this looks a warm heat for her with the form she's in.
Number 15, following is Sign of the Kodiak.
Yeah, possibly another one that might like to get on with it. Drawn low as well. There looks a fair bit of pace down the middle of the track here, of which he could be a contributor. Needs to come back from a rather subdued effort last time out, admittedly over 6.
Okay, I'm going to move back a bit and pick up horse number 5 over there with the headgear on, the visor. That's moving time for David O'Mara.
Yes, been in the wilderness a little while, but you know, was a very useful sprinter. Obviously, at the age of 9, we've seen one 8-year-old win today, and there's a couple of old timers in this race that certainly look to have chances, but his chance doesn't look that obvious on recent run-ins.
He's followed by number 1, Kimberella, who's in fab form at the moment.
Yeah, drawn right along the stand side rail. I couldn't see a lot of obvious pace in alongside him, and he'd probably want them to go a good gallop, but he's the kind of horse that's going to be finishing off. Great run last time in a race that's working out well. Yes,
and he's got an entry in the King Stand, which is at Group 2 level. Let's pan back a little bit and pick up some of the other horses. Just walking behind there is Caspian Prince, who we've already seen. Typically, of course, we're running into the horses that we've already discussed that are remaining in the paddock. Number 15. No, number 10 we haven't talked about. If we pan round, we can pick up number 10. That's El Astronaut for John Quinn.
Well, he's another one shortlist material for a best look. I mean, he looks absolutely magnificent. He's grown from 3 to 4. Saw him win first hand at Chester. Made the most of a good draw that day. And, you know, look at the size and power. He's a really substantial individual.
He really is. He's followed by number 6, Bosun Fred for Mick Easterby.
Yeah, another one that's likely to take him along, for the man of the moment, James Sullivan. He's drawn 14 as well, so he might give a little bit of hope to those drawn high that they can get a toe into the race, and he shows plenty of early and just got picked off by a gamble at Newby last time.
David Griffiths saddles Duke of Firenze, who put up a career best performance at York last time.
Yes, absolutely incredible. Yeah, at the age of 8, 2013 winner, goes really well for David Allen. Drawn it in the middle as well, in and around a bit of speed, and hopefully the race will capitulate and he'll come through and hopefully deliver a race-winning challenge.
And number 9 follows. That's Desert Law for Paul Midgey and Oisin Murphy.
Yeah, he looks magnificent as well. Run twice at Epsom, won this race in 2015, was second on his other occasion. Goes well for Oisin, who's already been amongst the winners today, and I really like the way that he quickened to win at Musselburgh last time. She had a great turn of foot.
Let's have a look at the filly, the mare rather, Blythe Spirit over there, number 17.
Yes, another pace angle in 4. Last 5 wins have come at Chester. She just looks a little bit in the wilderness at the moment. She was beaten 7 legs at Ripon last time, in a race that admittedly has thrown up a winner or two, but she's a bit subdued at the moment, so overlook her.
She's followed by the other mare, Olivia Fallow, and also Dark Shot, number 18.
Yeah, I didn't think Dark Shot particularly got the run of the race last time. A Moment of Madness finished a place in front, and he just got trapped for a bit of space when he needed it, and just couldn't unleash a challenge really. But I certainly wouldn't be writing him off. He's got a nice middle draw in 10 and should get a good draft into the race.
Okay, that's a good selection of the horses for the dash. It was a bit of a dash through them. Hope you kept up.
Look at the course at Epsom. Crowds either side on Poundland Hill and in the main stands. And you can just see that 5 furlongs. They start under the trees at the top, and about 55 seconds later they'll be dashing past the winning line. Non-runner 14 Orvar, but 19 go for the Investec Dash. Kimberella is 15-2. Boom the Groom is the same price. That's another one that's been well backed. 8-1 Desert Law and Accessible. 17-2 money for this as well. A Moment of Madness. 9-1 Duke of Firenze. 12-1 Line of Reason, El Astronaut and Dark Shot. 14 bar.
Yeah, the two horses for money, as far as I can see out here, Kimberella and Boom the Groom particularly. It was back this morning because it was a price rise horse, but it opened up 10s on the course. The best I can see out here now is 15-2, third in the race last year. Significantly, there seems to be quite a lot of pace low in this year's race. These two are drawn 20 and 18 against this Sands Rail, and the low horse that's been backed is A Moment of Madness. That's drawn 5, and that's actually now coming into 8-1. So a real fascinating betting heat, as it always is. But there's no doubt the bookies want this Boom the Groom beat because the price-wise punters are on this morning, and they're following up on the course this afternoon.
The Dash, the traditional aperitif to the Derby. Terrific race as well. Kimberella is the 7-1 market leader. Dandy Nichols will be watching this afternoon's proceedings with decidedly mixed feelings, I shouldn't wonder, having seen his former charge Sovereign Debt win, and now another horse that did him proud. Kimberella is favourite for the Dash, and Kimberella has done really well for Richard Fahey as well. Connor Murtagh claims 7. Connor, the son of trainer Barry Murtagh, brother of Lorcan Murtagh. And in a race like this, £7 on an in-form horse is, well, it's a gift from those up above.
And Connor's story is a touching one as well, isn't it? We'll get into that later, perhaps, if we get a chance. But Kimberella is the class horse here. He's verging on a pattern class animal. He's much higher than... He ran off 92 last year, Lucky, when he was unlucky. Now he's rated 109 as a result of his exploits since. Now, draw-wise, unbelievably, 4 of the last 5 winners of this race have been drawn in the outside 2 stalls, either very high or very low. Presumably a function of where the jockeys tend to migrate towards, which rail, dare I say, it is the faster, or which part of the track. So if it's high, Kimberella has got the rail. Remember, the high drawn horses race close to...
Look, the overwhelming front runners are all drawn low, so hoping Duke of Firenze or perhaps even Desert Law can draft into it off the back of them.
We're all set for the Dash. About 55 seconds it'll take. Here's Simon.
Groom into stall 18, standing by for the Investec Corporate Banking Dash. A Moment of Madness got an absolute flyer from the gate and gained at length at least on the field, chased by El Astronaut. Caspian Prince burning down the centre on the outside of these on the right as they race through the first furlong or so, chased on the outside by Majestic Hero, and then move in time behind these. Desert Law chasing them with Bosun Fred in the yellow sleeves. In the orange cap, then Line of Reason is handy. Kimberella under the rail. They're chased by Exceed the Limit and Accessible in a red cap. Olivia Fallow in a noseband against the rail from Edward Lewis, and Boom the Groom is well back, so too Dark Shot and Sign of the Kodiak. Caspian Prince bidding for a third win just leads to A Moment of Madness. El Astronaut in third place, then Desert Law and Line of Reason chasing hard. Kimberella is running on, so too Duke of Firenze on the near side. Is still Caspian Prince inside the final furlong. A Moment of Madness. Duke of Firenze is gaining, so too Dark Shot from the rear, but Caspian Prince has won again. Caspian Prince holding on. Duke of Firenze, Dark Shot finishing well near side, and also flashing home on the outside was Edward Lewis.
Oh, thriller for the Dash, and the judge calls it. Caspian Prince takes his 3rd edition of this race. What a performance from Caspian Prince, and for a 3rd trainer as well. Far side, it was very close in the end. 2nd has gone the way of Dark Shot, who's run a blinder on ground, perhaps a bit quick. And Duke of Firenze, also previous winner of this race, has run another stormer in third. It's a bunch for fourth. It looks as though the very, very pacey Charlie Hill's trainee, A Moment of Madness, has come through for fourth place. We'll get that confirmed for you. But the winner, no doubt on that evidence, is Caspian Prince for the third time in the dash, now trained by Tony Coyle. It's another winner for Yorkshire. Has been with several trainers, Dean Ivory, Tony Carroll, Roger Fell. Tony Coyle can equal all of them. He's won the dash, Caspian Prince. What an extraordinary horse, impervious to circumstance. One thing we know about him, James, is he's just very, very, very fast.
Incredible race to watch, wasn't it? Right on the edge of the envelope of speed the thoroughbred can muster. And three horses dueling early, Caspian Prince, El Astronauti and A Moment of Madness. It was a tremendous spectacle. Great call from Simon Holt as well. But the winner, undoubtedly hanging on close home, is the three-time winner Caspian Prince, 94, 103, 107. Those handicap marks he's won off. What a spectacle.
Yeah, just confirming the result was as anticipated. Look at Dark Shot there, diving down toward the inside. He's last at this stage, the eventual runner-up, last.
Oh, he is a very interesting horse, because he doesn't really need a 5 furlong war, does he, by any means? And to have run as blimey.
How on earth has he nearly won this race? He's last.
That's an extraordinary performance, isn't it? And it makes you wonder, really. Caspian Prince has obviously won out of one, but he's gone across. Whether there was any need for the other two to go quite so far across and migrate to the stand-side rail. There looks nothing wrong with the middle of the track, really, given the way that the speed's held up. And Caspian Prince, who is, he's just confounds me. I think that's fourth win from 5 starts here at Epsom. 3 wins in this race and another one elsewhere. Duke of Firenze flown home, 2 8-year-olds in the first 3 home. And you can see that's almost a group type performance from Andrew Balding's horse.
The other finisher, the other really eye-catching finisher, and look in front about 2 lengths after the line, was Edward Lewis. Josh Doyle for David O'Mara came from stall 11 in the very pale blue colours, has come from a most unpromising position.
Yeah, when you look at the identity of the horse involved in the finish here, this really was as fast as horses will go. So most other sprints, really, anything finishing here will get an age longer to pick up the leaders in other races. And a couple of horses here want marking out. You've already mentioned them both, Edward Lewis and Dark Shot, both want marking out, because they're not horses that really need out-and-out speed tests. And boy, they must be close to pattern class to have run the way that they both did here. And they're horses that have got to be monitored closely for the rest of the season. Old Duke of Firenze, he ran a screamer as well for a very talented sprint trainer in David Griffiths. But El Astronauti also, he was eaten up in the early pace, but he too ran a blinder, trying to match it with some of the fastest horses in training. But it's amazing to win any race 3 times, isn't it? But to win a 5 furlong race with a draw advantage often, where there's no margin for error, is even more amazing. It's hats off to Caspian Prince. What a horse.
The amazing thing with Caspian Prince is that he shows that much exhilarating, blistering space, raw speed, raw pace, but he wins in big fields. You know, he manages to hold on when, you know, when a lot of horses would be crying enough with his brazen speed at 4.5 furlongs and be susceptible to the closers. That's his 4th win in fields of this amount of runners. You know, it's an extraordinary record he's got, and at the age of 8 to go and do that. And obviously Duke of Firenze's carried out in his shield again. Edward Lewis has run brilliantly, as we've alluded to. You know, and Boom the Groom just finished, like, he's been 3rd in the race the last 2 years, just finished out the placings again.
Keep an eye on that Boom the Groom, the clever guys, yeah. Into the notebook again.
You saw the start again. I've rarely seen a horse break from the stalls as rapidly as did the eventual 4th Moment of Madness. He's come across, which has meant El Astronaut has come across as well. They duel hard, and Caspian Prince is on his own over on the far side. Far side, further away.
Which almost he loves to do, doesn't he? He just loves to dominate on his own and get on with it. And, you know, he's just proved an exceptional horse. I think Stoner Fulker won this from stall 2, and I think there's been another pretty low draw in the last 10 years. But no damage what the story of the race is, though, isn't it? And it's the Andrew Balding runner.
The runner-up was still last at the 2 furlong pole, and only had 3 behind him at the furlong pole.
He's an unlucky loser, actually, because he got stopped, didn't he? If he'd not got stopped, he would have got there, which would have been unbelievable. But how he's managed to pass as many horses, when you think the average speed of this race in the final furlong is still got to be incredibly high for them to run as fast, the faster time as they have today. That is, he's got some engine.
Just keep your eye, look at that, look at the break that the eventual 4th got, A Moment of Madness.
He'd be thrown out if he was an athlete, wouldn't he?
That is
definitely throw him out if he was
unbelievable. You can see he drags El Astronaut across.
Yeah.
to the stand side. It may have been premeditated on the part of Astronauts jockey as well, Jason Hart, but they've come right across to the stand side, and just look where the eventual runner-up is on the overhead shot there, and track the run through he gets.
Is there any Stewards Cup betting out just yet?
Well, this horse Dark Shot, the runner-up, is out of Dark Missile, who won the Wokingham and gave William Buick his first ever Royal Ascot winner.
Yeah, and he's effective at Ascot.
I think, or was it Haley Turner who rode that? I can't remember. One of them did.
Dark Shot. He's a horse that handles a stiff track perfectly well, which is not surprising watching the way that he's run. And yeah, he's going to be a strong contender. And the jockeys all, I mean, seem to make a unilateral decision that the stand side was quicker, despite the numbers suggesting that staying on the far side isn't actually a disadvantage, or going straight anyway. But Sylvester de Souza, I think that was jockeyship that got that horse out quick. He's a perennial quick starter, but I think de Souza just got him out of the traps incredibly brilliantly. But what we've learnt as well here is that this El Astronauti, although vanquished today, he must be an improved horse to have shown that brazen toe against some of the quickest horses in training. And back round Chester, or somewhere where he acts well, or round a bend, he's going to show lesser horses a clean pair of wheels.
You'll have done a lot more work on this, James, but the two horses that have bounced out the gates there and dived right, how much ground do you think, has that cost them the margin they're beaten, the fact that they've headed for that stand side rail and the winner has just maintained a steady path almost to the line?
It's an oft asked question, and the answer is very, very little ground. We can easily work it out. An average school boy or girl could do it from Pythagoras' theorem. You would lose very little. It's a matter of how sharply you go across. Even some good jockeys like Ryan Moore dive out of the stall sometimes and go right-handed to the rail. That's a very wide error. If you do it gradually, the loss is very minimal. But why they had to do it at all is the question. Was it definitely faster up this side?
Well, this horse, Caspian Prince, has won his third dash. He hasn't quite been in every stable in the country, but he's getting close. And Tony Coyle, who has him for now, is the hero of the hour. Well done, Tom Eaves. Well done to Tony and to the winning owner, Stephen Louch. Caspian Prince takes his third dash. A remarkable performance for the son of Dylan Thomas, who imparts a lot more speed to his offspring than many consider, in front of a packed house here at Epsom. And there is the hill, and they're geared up and ready for the big one. We are just 40 minutes away from the 2017 Investec Derby. Here's Jonathan.
25-1 for a third win for Caspian Prince under Tom Eaves. Dark Shot second, 10-1. Duke of Firenze 9-1 third, and A Moment of Madness was fourth at 8-1. Short Head and a Nose. 19 ran, number 14 didn't, and they were sort of more or less on the standard time. 54.92 with a breeze blowing into them.
Now it's time for the big one, the Investec Derby, and Aidan O'Brien has 6 runners in this race. He's already saddled a couple of them, and at the moment he's attending to Douglas MacArthur, who was the winner of the Derrintown Stud Trial last time we saw him. A real tenacious victory ahead of Yucatan and Capri, his stable companions. Prior to that, he'd been a really good second in the Ballysax as well. He's clearly stays well. He's a full brother, I think, to Was, who was the Oaks winner for Aidan O'Brien. Full brother to her. She won in 2012, and he is likely to be ridden forward from stall 19, one of the potential pace angles in the race, and I suspect he'll run really well, probably outrun his odds to some degree. Let's have a look at Ben Battle, who's just behind him on the right, number 1, and that is Ben Battle, who is second in the Dante last time we saw him. We've already had a chat with Asheen Murphy about his chances. He didn't really shape on that occasion, as though a step up in trip would help him, but the hood for the first time should help. He was very, very keen in the early stages of the Dante, so that might account to some degree for the flattening out in the closing stages. He's drawn 16. Now, if we pan back round to the position we were before, we can pick up Capri, and I mentioned him in passing. He's run in the Derby trials, the key Derby trials over in Ireland. He's another Aidan O'Brien trained performer. He was probably far too far behind behind the pace in the Ballysack Stakes. It did favour horses that were prominently positioned, and then he stuck on in the style of a horse that might really like the St Leger trip when third in the Derrinstown last time. Also, he might want some cut in the ground, but he is improving. If we move to the right-hand side, we can pick up number 18, and that's Wings of Eagles. And we've only seen him once this season. He was second in the Chester Vase behind his stable companion Venice Beach. He was quite babyish and awkward. He hung to his right when he was asked for his effort initially, and he didn't look the most tractable of conveyances. Many people thought that he might have given Venice Beach a little bit more to think about, but it'll be interesting to see whether Epsom brings out the best or the worst in him. He should stay. He's the son of a Derby winner in Pourmois, and he breaks from stall 14. If we pan to the left-hand side, and the second horse that we pick up, we've done 1 and 7 already. Hopefully we should be able to see a few more. If we pan back, we can just see Capri still being saddled, but beyond him is number 8, and that's an interesting horse, Dubai Thunder for Saeed bin Saror. This horse didn't make his debut until towards the middle to end of last month, and he won in soft ground at Newbury and really galloped away from his field. He's a half-brother to Far, notably, but he's got more stamina on his sire side, and the way he ran at Newbury did suggest that he would stay 1.5 miles. It's just his inexperience, and to compound that, he's in stall 1, which may mean he needs to be used up early. It could be quite a difficult day for him, and maybe even some softer ground would help him a bit more. He's followed by number 9 Eminent, who was 6th in the 2,000 guineas. He probably had to make a move slightly earlier than he ideally wanted. Jim Crowley, who also rides him today, due to the steady-ish pace. This will be a test for him in terms of temperament. Of course, obviously, he's a son of Frankel. Martin Mead, his trainer, has talked about having to keep a lid on his temperament, but we've never seen that on the outside, really. He's always been a pretty calm horse. The question is whether he'll be able to stay 12 furlongs. Let's move back to number 14, and that is Rekindling, who won the Ballysacks on his seasonal debut. Maybe he caught superior horses at the start of the season because he was a little disappointing in the Dante, never able to get on terms. 2 horses behind is Venice Beach, that's number 17. He was the winner of the Chester Vase. He wore cheek pieces, a bit like Ruler of the World, the horse that Aidan O'Brien did the Chester Vase Derby double with previously. He just struggled a bit on occasion to hold his pitch, and it'll just be interesting in a field, 18-strong field, whether he's able to hold his pitch today. He's shaped like a stayer, again, another horse that might run well in the St Leger eventually. There's Cracksman, number 5, and he was meant to be running in the Dante, but John Gosden felt that the ground was too soft for him, so he pulled him out. So the question is his inexperience. He did well to pick up Permian, who got first run on him in the Derby trial here at Epsom, so we know he handles that trip. He shapes as though he should stay 1.5 miles, although he too is by Frankel, who himself never raced over 1.5 miles. 2 horses behind is Glencadam Glory. Again, John Gosden was talking about him earlier. This horse was second in the Lingfield Derby trial. Again, he fluffed the start for the second time in his career, and he's going to really have to make sure that he starts well here today, just to see whether he can trouble them. John Gosden has talked about having ironed out several things with him, and a slow start is just another one. Now, the horse that seems to be playing up a little is number 15, Saloen, who's just being put into order. He was quite highly tried as a 2-year-old. He twice placed at Group 1 company. He was second behind Khalidi in the Fielden on his seasonal debut, racing tenaciously. He's lost none of his verve, and there is promise in his pedigree that he should be able to stay. Behind him is number 16, the Anvil, a first Derby ride for Anna O'Brien, just the 3rd female rider to ride in the race. This horse was 3rd in the Chester Vase. He rather fluffed the start, so if he's here to do pacemaking duties and he fluffs the start again, that could be a problem. He also breaks from stall 2, so again, unless he does manage to hit the gates really well, he could be up against it. Let's find some of the others that we haven't yet talked about. Best Solution, number 2, is the winner of the Lingfield Derby trial, and that was pretty impressive actually. He was quite fluid around the bend and in the downhill section, and simply powered away from Glencadam Glory, who was just struggling into second late. Best Solution was all over the best horse in that race, and it'll be interesting to see whether he's good enough for this task. Number 6, Crowned Eagle, is there, just being attended by the ITV TV crew. And this horse is very well related, from the family of Sariska and Wings of Desire and Eagle Top. So you would think that he should be suited to a 1.5 miles and probably further. Interesting that John Gosden has put the cheek pieces on for the first time, just to sharpen him up. Also, the family can be a little bit short term in that they have one brilliant season, maybe a little longer, and then sometimes some quirks start to show. So it's understandable, with the first time cheek pieces, the trip and the background to the pedigree, that John Gosden has decided to be front foot with this horse. Number 13 we haven't mentioned, and that is Permian, and he's been a revelation this season. What a fantastically tough horse he is. He was just run down by Cracksman in the Epsom Derby trial. He then won at Newmarket and then won the Dante, usually the toughest and best stepping stone to the Derby. He steps back up in trip, and he is tough. He probably has the best form in the race for me, I would say, Permian. Who else haven't we talked about? I'll just give you another proper look at Venice Beach, because you didn't see him properly. He was the Chester Vase winner, you'll remember. I was just number 17, who I was just worried about whether he would be able to hold his pitch. Now, who haven't we seen? Cliffs of Moher, rather importantly, we haven't seen. So we need to find him. Number 4, Cliffs of Moher, over there. He was the winner of the D Stakes, shaping as though he would improve for a step up in trip. He clocked a really good time previously, you've already heard, back in his native Ireland to win his maiden. He just lacked a bit of pace at Chester. He just had to be pushed along and was blatantly outpaced until the closing stages. So again, is he going to be able to hold his pitch in what could be a relatively rough race? Number 11, Khalidi, we haven't spoken about either. He was supplemented into this race, as was Permian, after a fantastic win in the Cocked Hat at Goodwood. I think you can throw out his run behind Permian at Newmarket 2 starts ago, because he was never travelling from an early stage, and that's very unlike him. He's forced his way into this picture, and the ground will suit. Behind him is his stable companion Peeler, who's rated 85 and has a nice handicap in him, or would have done. He's going to stay really well, and he can be ridden forward as well. So John Gosden can have a say in how this race is run, with Peeler, who will stay strongly and likes to run towards the foot 4, and also with Crowned Eagle, who is also, with the first time cheek pieces, a natural front runner as well. Just looking down the field, and I think we have house. I think you've seen all 18 for the 2017 Investec Derby.
Tremendous stuff. And that is the trophy that they will be racing for, as well as the great amount of prize money and the glory, of course. 18 go to post without number 19, Diora Leah, and it's due off in about 15 minutes. Cracksman's 4-1, 9-2 Cliffs of Moher, 6-1 Eminent, Permian is 8-1, 10 Best Solution, at 14-1 Dubai Thunder and Venice Beach. Capri is 16-1, 20-1 Barthos.
Yeah, it's a really interesting looking at the boards out here, because it's 4-1 on the show. I can see 9-2 about Cracksman. That's going to go. But William Hills, the High Street betting shop firm, are 3-1 Cracksman, and they've never moved at all. They're 9-2 generally, Cliffs of Moher, but that's 5-1. And I would argue that the horse that's being backed now are the likes of Permian. That's gone in from 9s opening into 8s, and Best Solution, the Lingfield Derby trial winner. Interesting as well, a little bit of money for Dubai Thunder, Adam Kirby's once race mount. That's only a 10-1 shot generally. Eminent 6-1, but the differential between Cracksman with the high street firms, who must be absolutely full up with this horse, and what it is with the independent firms is really really significant. Cliffs of Moher looks to be very weak here, 5-1. You can get as much 5-1 as you like now, so I suspect, unless something strange happens, that one's on the drift. But Cracksman solid at 4-1. Permian, I would say, is now the best backed each way horse in the race.
Just shy of 20 minutes until post time for the 2017 Derby. And a few moments ago, Her Majesty the Queen, as is customary, came into the paddock. She was accompanied by the chairman here, Julia Budd, who's taken over the chairmanship of Epsom this year, and was introduced as if she needed introducing to 3 greats: Lester Piggott, Joe Mercer and Willie Carson, no doubt sharing their fond memories of derbies past. And Willie Carson, a classic success for Her Majesty, of course, on a couple of occasions. And James, I particularly enjoyed listening to his reminiscences with Tom Stanley about the pitfalls and the highs and lows of riding around here at Epsom, and it's perfectly exemplified exactly what a challenge it is, not just for horse but also for rider. However experienced, the unexpected can often be expected.
Yeah, it's no good going out with plan A or plan B. You need plenty of plans. You need to be able to think quickly on the fly. And the great Derby jockeys over the years could all do that, couldn't they? They could all think fast, make quick decisions and make the correct decision as well. And that's why it's such a fantastic race to watch and to study and to pick apart afterwards. And this year, even more so, with so many seemingly well-matched rivals here.
Just crunch a few numbers for you, as if you need them crunching. 6 for Aidan O'Brien and Ballydoyle, including the horse in shot, Wings of Eagles. 5 for John Gosden. 3 for Saeed bin Surur, but 1 also for the Godolphin affiliate, Permian, who's trained by Mark Johnston. So you're looking at 3 distinct groupings with significant interest in this year's race, and just a few lone wolves trying to take down these extraordinary battalions. There is the Anvil, who could be a key horse as regards the pace in this race, but most significantly is ridden by the trainer's daughter, Anna O'Brien, who is only the 3rd woman to ride in the Derby, following Alex Greaves and Hayley Turner. Alex was last on a rank outsider, and Hayley's mount didn't cut much ice either. So Anna has strong claims of being the most successful female jockey ever in the race, and it is a clear measure of the faith that her father has in her talents. And she was saying herself she's recently left college and has had much more chance to get a lot more experience under her belt, that she's been granted a ride in this race, because he would not give her that ride unless he thought she was well up to it. She could have a big part to play in this.
Absolutely. This is a horse that owns that precious front-running speed and important